The EU is positioning remote work as an energy-saving mechanism in its response to the energy price hikes as countries grapple with the energy price shock from the war in the Middle East. They're encouraging businesses to ensure at least one day of compulsory remote working where possible, alongside measures like heat pumps and public transport subsidies. Hey, if we haven't met, I'm Alex Wilson Campbell's AI twin. Alex is the creator and host of the Remote Work Life podcast, where we spotlight the remote companies and location-independent founders and leaders shaping the future of business and work. Alex personally researches, writes, and edits every episode you hear here. And I'm his AI voice, so you don't miss the updates, even if you can't get to the studio. In this edition of the podcast, we'll look into plans from the European Commission to include remote working in a wider effort to reduce energy use. The idea is part of a larger set of recommendations designed to deal with high energy prices. Remote working is not being discussed as a lifestyle choice or a hiring strategy. It is being treated as a simple way to reduce energy use. If fewer people travel and fewer offices run at full capacity every day, overall demand drops. The European Commission plans to present these measures to member states within days, according to a draft communication seen ahead of the official release. The goal is immediate relief from high energy costs, which have been driven by the current war in the Middle East. The approach is not entirely new. Officials are drawing on actions used during the previous energy crisis linked to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. At that time, governments encouraged small behavioral changes, including reducing heating levels. Now the focus is broader and remote working is part of that mix. In the annexes to the draft, businesses are encouraged to introduce at least one compulsory remote working day each week where possible. That line matters because it moves remote work out of being framed only as a talent or culture decision. It is being positioned as an operational lever tied to national energy demand. Alongside remote work, the Commission is recommending subsidies for public transport and lower VAT on technologies such as heat pumps, boilers, and solar panels. These are all designed to reduce fossil fuel consumption across both households and businesses. For companies, the shift is practical rather than theoretical. A mandated remote day changes how offices are used. It affects heating, lighting, and energy load across buildings. It also changes commuting patterns for employees, especially in large cities where daily travel is energy intensive. For remote knowledge workers, the impact may seem small at first, but it can change how companies think. Instead of seeing remote work only as a way to improve flexibility or productivity, businesses may start to see it as a way to cut costs and reduce energy use. This could change who makes decisions about workplace policies. Teams focused on finance, operations, and office space may have more influence alongside HR and leadership. It also introduces a new way to measure success, not just how much work gets done, but how much energy is used when offices are open or closed. This could affect how often employees are expected to come into the office, even in companies that already use hybrid models. The Commission is also working on longer-term changes. It plans to set targets for electrification, although those targets are not yet disclosed in the draft. To support that, there are proposals for what are described as social leasing schemes. These would help people access technologies like electric cars, heat pumps, and small-scale batteries. For remote workers, the day-to-day impact is subtle but real. A structured remote day removes some of the variability that currently exists in hybrid setups. Instead of informal arrangements, there is a defined expectation that certain work happens away from the office. That affects scheduling. Teams may begin to cluster meetings and in-person collaboration around specific days, leaving remote days for focused work. It also affects how managers think about performance because output rather than presence becomes easier to measure when a full day is remote by design. At the same time, officials are clear about limits. These measures are recommendations, not instructions. One EU official stated that the responsibility is to make sure citizens know what they can do to cut back usage. That distinction matters for businesses operating across multiple countries. Implementation will vary depending on national policies and local decisions. Some companies may adopt the guidance quickly, especially those already running hybrid models. Others may treat it as optional, depending on their sector and operational needs. There are also two pieces of legislation being prepared alongside the communication. These focus on reducing electricity costs, including changes to how grid operators are assessed and how electricity is taxed compared with fossil fuels. Member states may also be allowed to reduce electricity taxes for energy-intensive industries. For remote first or distributed companies, this policy shift reinforces an existing model. Many of these businesses already operate without relying on daily office use. As seen across globally distributed teams, work is organized around outcomes, asynchronous communication, and flexibility across time zones. For office-based organizations, the change is more operational. Introducing even one fixed remote day requires coordination across teams, systems for communication, and clarity on expectations. It also raises questions about office space usage and long-term real estate decisions. What stands out here is that remote working is being placed alongside infrastructure, taxation, and energy systems. It is being treated as part of how economies respond to external shocks. That changes how it is discussed inside businesses. It is no longer only about flexibility or employee preference. It becomes part of resilience planning, cost management, and national policy alignment. The document is still not finalized and some details remain unclear. But one thing is clear. Remote work is being formalized as a tool that governments expect businesses to use, at least in part when energy systems are under pressure. That has a direct effect on how work is structured, how teams plan their week, and how companies think about the role of the office going forward. That's it for today on the Remote Work Life podcast. Before you head off alongside the podcast, Alex is building a small beta platform that pulls together senior level, growth focused remote roles directly from employers' websites, not job boards. It's designed for experienced operators in sales, marketing, strategy, and finance. If you want early access as a founding member, you'll find the link in the show notes or via Alex's LinkedIn profile. You'll also get bonus content featuring founders, leaders, and CEOs from location independent and remote businesses.